Para mi papá ya sabe. Thank you. โอเคค่ะ Monoculture in the past and the modern day early monoculture was very risky to the society. As I mentioned to you guys, monoculture means practicing or growing one type of crop. Okay? It means that if Salaya people highly value rice, every farmer in Salaya will only grow rice. And when something happened to rice plantation, Salaya people will severely experience food shortage. Like let's say if there's flood or grasshoppers or any kinds of plant disease that kill all the rice, Salaya people will have nothing left. It's very risky. Okay? But if nothing happened at all to the rice, the farmers can easily make profit and can sell their products easily, right? Because most of the time, the farmer would choose the products that are on demand to produce anyway. So if nothing happened, you make big profit and you can sell your product quickly. But it's risky, like I said. If something happened, it may cause food shortage in the community. From food shortage, it will lead to famine and starvation. Now, in the modern day, monoculture can lead to monopoly. Monoculture can lead to monopoly. Right? That's the main important point. I'll explain it in a second. Now, mostly developed countries in the modern day prefer to practice monoculture because it allows them to be able to produce larger amount of supplies that can feed the global market. Okay? It allows them, the monoculture allows them to be able to produce larger supplies that can feed the global market. Once they produce larger amount of supplies, they can have more variety types of marketing strategies that they can play with in order to make people depend on their products or in order to make people consume more of their products. I'm going to give you the outline and then we'll give you example so that you can see better. Monoculture in the modern day also help the people become specialized with the products that they grow, the products that they have, make people become very specialized in the products that they have. The point is, once you stick with one type of crop, you will learn more about what kind of things that your crop like, how much water that the crop like, how much sunlight, what type of fertilizers that the plants like, how much the fertilizers that the plants need. It will make you become an expert. It will make you become, like I said, the expert. You know exactly what kind of things that your plants need. When you know what the plants need, it helps reduce the cost of production. Very important. It helps reduce the cost of production. Reduce a lot of spending risk. Reduce spending risk. Think of it this way. When you are not specialized with the products that you are growing, when you don't understand the nature of your plants, you may randomly use variety types of fertilizers. Some of them may be useful to your plant, some of them may not. Let's say you're growing papaya and you're not expert with the papaya. You don't know exactly what kind of fertilizers your papaya like. You may use the chicken poop. You purchase the chicken poop. You purchase the bat poop. You purchase the chemical fertilizer. You also purchase the organic fertilizers. And then you put it on the papaya plant. When in fact, the papaya may like the chicken poop the most. And other fertilizers do not give any improvement to the plants at all. That could be the case. But monoculture in modern day, it tells you, it makes you become an expert. You know exactly what kind of fertilizer your plants like. You learn that your plants, your papaya, like the chicken poop. So basically, you will only purchase the chicken poop. You will not waste your money buying other fertilizers. You know exactly how much your plant or your papaya, how much the water that the papaya likes. It only consumes a bucket of water a day. So you don't have to waste your water putting 5 buckets, 10 buckets, just in case it is not enough. But when you know exactly that it only needs 1 bucket, you save the cost of water. So in a way, when you are an expert, okay, when you know exactly what your plants like, it helps save costs for you. It reduces your risk of having to expend extra things for the plants. Now, when you know what the plants like, you can easily control the quality of your plant. You can make sure that the plants will produce more or less. If you give a bucket of water every day for about 15 days, that will be 10 papayas that the plant produce. Okay, you know exactly. But if you give less water, there might be only 5 papaya. But if you give 1 bucket of water every day for 15 days, that will be 10 papaya. So you take a control over the amount, okay, of the plants that it can produce, amount of the fruits that it can produce. Also, you can control the quality of it in general. Like I said, if you just give 1 bucket of water to the plants every day, the papaya fruit will be very sweet. But if you give too much water, 2 buckets per day, the plants will have less sweet, will be less sweet because of too much water. So in general, when you know the nature of your plant, you can control the amount of the plants, the amount of the productivity that your plant can produce. You can also control the quality of it. Make it sweet, make it sour, make it bitter, whatever. You can do it. You take control over the quality. Now, when you produce monoculture or practice monoculture, you probably have more productivity than other farmers. Once you have more productivity, you can sell your product at the global market. Bear that in mind, the global market buyers, they are looking for large supplies. When they purchase certain type of crops, they purchase it in metric tons. Not just 1 ton, 2 tons, metric tons. They're looking for sellers or suppliers that have big quantity of products. So if you have that much quantity of your product, you can easily sell it in the global market. And you can have long-term contract with the buyer. Mostly, the contract lasts from 5 years to 20 years. It means that you can always sell your products under the contract. You can have guarantee and stable income. Imagine if you produce coffee, let's say you produce coffee and you have large quantity to offer to the buyers. The buyers, like the Nescafe company, may come to you and say, you know what, we want you to supply us with coffee. We can have 10 years contract with you. So within 10 years, you can keep sending the coffee to us and we keep, we will make payment to you. So in a way, for the farmer, they can have guaranteed income. They know that in the next 10 years, they will always have income coming in. It helps stabilize the farmer income. The monoculture helps stabilize the farmer's income. Another thing about producing in large quantity is that you can easily monopolize the products that you produce. Okay? You can easily monopolize the products that you produce. Let's say if you own CP company, Jaloi Bhogapan company, and you produce the largest amount of rice in Thailand. You produce the largest amount of rice in Thailand. You can easily come up with variety types of marketing strategies to kill other rice producers. I'm going to give you one example. One of the popular strategies these days, you may want to, let's say, one of the popular strategies that the first year as a producer, you will accept the conditions that the first year you won't be able to make profit, but you will lose profit just to kill other producers. Like for example, we are the main producers that produce rice, and we want people to depend on us. We want people to attach to our products. So you may say that the first year I'm going to lose my profit just to kill other producers. So the cost of rice, 1 kilogram at the normal market, it's about 100 baht per kilogram. That's the normal market average price of rice in the market, 100 baht per 1 kilogram. But you know that if you sell this at the same price as the others, then you will be like the other. You probably get minimum profit. But then you want to kill other producers. You want to make sure that you are the only one stand in the rice market. You want to monopolize the rice market. So the first year you say, I'm going to give discount, even though this discount may hurt me or may hurt my profit. So I may say, I'm going to give 50% off per kilogram. So if anyone buy the rice from me, they only pay 50 baht per kilogram, while other producers will sell it at 100 baht per kilogram. When it comes to buy, customers are looking for reasonable quality of the products and the cheap price. When the qualities are pretty much the same as the others, and the price, if I offer lower price, more likely customer will come to me and keep buying my rice. So the first year, definitely, I will lose my profit. But at least the customer will know that I exist. The customer will feel like my product is cheap, my product is dependable. Other producers will not be able to compete with my price because they produce in low quantity. If they were to sell it at 50 baht per kilogram, it will hurt them so badly. They may not have enough to pay for their future planting. They may not be able to have enough money to pay for their debt that they loaned earlier. Definitely, they're not going to dare to reduce the price by 50%, just like what I did. Okay? And plus, when the customer look at the price, they'll be like, okay, 100 baht per kilogram. Nah, I'm not gonna buy the product from here. Let me buy it from Visom. So they will come buy from me. And those farmers, those producers won't be able to sell their products. They will not be able to make profit when nobody buy their products. So eventually they will have to switch their career. They may have to produce something else because they cannot compete with me, definitely. So my first year, I may lose some profit. But my second year, once other producer ran out of their business, I will be the only one standing. This is the time now that I have the power to play with the price of my products. I may increase it the way I want it. I may double the price. The regular price, 100 baht. This time I may sell it 200 baht per kilogram, 300 baht per kilogram. And no one dare to say no to my product because there's no alternative. No other producers in the market, only me that sell rice. Thai people are mostly consume rice for their main source of food. So they have no choice but to buy rice at my price. For the second year, I probably recover from what I lost in the first year. And there's a big possibility that I may gain triple or double profit. You can only do this if you have large quantity of the products. You can play around with the price, with the promotion, with your marketing strategy. But if you produce less, you already have a hard time approaching big buyers. You already have a hard time playing around with the prices of the products. So once you are the monopoly, you can make more profit. You can have more bargaining power in the market. And you can only become monopoly if you practice monoculture. If you produce in large quantity, if you are an expert, you control the quality and the amount of your products. Now, in developed countries, like in America or in European countries, farmers are usually practice monoculture. They are producing to sell at the global market. They are producing for profit. But people who live in less developed countries, they are producing to sustain the people food source in the country. They are not aiming for profit. They're aiming to feed the people in the country. Also, farming or agriculture in less developed countries can only help the farmer earn little income that allow them to survive, not making profit. There's some income that's coming in that allow them to survive or sustain themselves here and there. Unlike the farmer in developed countries, they're producing for profit. They're producing to gain wealth. Different attitude. That's all. I am moving on to the next one. Your next question. Whenever we have a situation that a lot of people die right now, we can expect that in the near future, the numbers of population will increase dramatically. When a lot of people die now, soon we can expect that in the next few years, we will have more birth rate or more population. There are two factors that, not factors, two reasons. There are two reasons why numbers of population increase dramatically after the incident. When people die, a lot of people die. The first reason is that the people that still survive, have more access to resources. They feel more comfortable with the resources they have, feel more comfortable about their lifestyle. So they want to get married, have children, and share the resources or assets that they have. So the birth rate increase. Think of it this way. Let's say you used to have 10 siblings in your family, and your family only have 10 acres of land. That means each one of your siblings will have access to 1 acre of land only. With 1 acre of land, a person may not have enough to sustain themselves. Right? Life could be tough. Only have 1 acre of land that they can produce. But all of a sudden, there's a big hurricane that hit the community. So 8 of your siblings die. Only 2 left, you and another one. Turns out that you, the 2 of you, have to manage the 10 acres of land. So the land will be divided by 2. It means 1 person will manage 5 acres of land. That means you have plenty access to resources from the land. You produce more. You have more productivity from the land. You feel more comfortable. And you feel like, man, I'm all alone with 5 acres of land. I need someone to share with. Let me get settled, get married, and have children to help me manage the land, share the land. That's one reason why the numbers of population will increase, okay, in a short period. The second reason, we needed to replace those that died. Okay? We needed to give birth to replace those that died. We needed manpower, okay, to get back to work and help maintain the economy. We need labor. If we do not give more birth, then our country, our society may experience labor shortage. Everything will be very difficult to develop when we have less manpower. So we increase the numbers of population because there's a demand for labor force. In general, 2 reasons that cause birth rate, high birth rate. We feel more comfortable. We have more access to resources we want to share with others. And the second reason, we needed more labor to replace those that died earlier. That's all,ค่ะ. Moving on. I'm missing a few words in the heading. Pre-industrial revolution and agricultural period population. It will not be an exam. Okay? Just general idea that during the pre-industrial revolution and the end of agricultural revolution, there's a high death rate among children. A lot of children die before they reach age of 1 due to the poor sanitation, less access to food supplies, poor medication. A lot of kids die at a young age. A lot of the time, the parents tend to have extra babies. Listen to this carefully. A lot of time, the parents tend to have extra babies because they know that a lot of their children may not make it to adulthood. So when they prefer to have extra baby, ended up that the birth rate increased dramatically. Right? Because they're not certain that their children will survive. So let's have extra babies. So the birth rate tends to be very high. Short life expectancy. People do not live as long, roughly around age of 50, 40. Okay, that's the maximum age that they could survive. Very few reach age of 60, 80, majority 40, 50. All kinds of diseases that happen, most of the diseases associated with famine. Okay. People have very poor immune system because they do not have enough nutrition. Their immune system are quite weak. So this period, we have both high in both birth rate and death rate. So important. If you take a look, this one won't be in the exam, okay? It's just general information. In China, the numbers of population kept increasing from the 14th century to 17th century. The reason why numbers of population in China kept increasing because Chinese were very far advanced in agriculture. They were able to produce large amount of food supplies that helped sustain the whole nation. They were far better than the European. Back then, they were far better than the European. Now, Chinese refuse to practice monoculture. Most of farmers prefer to grow variety types of crops on one piece of land. Chinese prefer to have alternative food source, variety types of food source that they can consume. Chinese are not concentrating on making profit out of their agricultural products. They wanted to make sure that the people have enough food to consume. They're not producing for sale. They're producing to sustain their people. Unlike the Europeans, they practice monoculture because they want to make profit. They're careless for their own people. They don't care if their people will have enough food or not. Unlike the Chinese, the people must come first. The people must be fed first. Their stomach must be full first. Different priority now, you can see. The Western region and the Chinese people. Like I said, they grow variety types of things on one piece of land. The next improvement that the Chinese did and helped sustain their food source is that they improved the quality of the seed. They improved the quality of the seed. After this improvement, it revolutionized the Chinese agriculture. Example, before the improvement of the seed, one seed of corn can only produce 2 or 3 corns. But after the improvement of the seed, one seed of corn can produce up to 10 corn. It means that the Chinese farmers no longer have to use the full land that they own to grow corn anymore. Okay, let's say in the past, before the improvement of the seed, 1 acre of land can produce 1 ton of corn. That's before the improvement of the seed. If you want 1 ton of corn, you have to use the full land. But after the improvement of the seed, just a quarter of the acre, the Chinese could only produce 1 ton of corn. You don't have to use the full land because 1 seed can produce 10 corn. It means that you only have to use 1 acre, a quarter of an acre. A quarter of an acre to produce 1 ton of corn. That means you have other 3 quarters left that you can grow something else. You can grow rice and use 1 quarter. The next quarter, you probably grow the banana. And the last quarter, you probably grow papaya. So on 1 piece of land, now you have more variety types of crops. If something happened to corn, you still have banana, you still have rice, you still have papaya. Okay. This kind of practice helps stabilize the food source for China. Also, by growing variety types of crops on 1 piece of land, it sometimes helps increase some profit for the farmers. Imagine if you grow 1 type of crops, sometimes the price of the products at that time may not be so high. There might be a low demand for these crops that you have. You make low profit. You make low income. But if you have 4 or 5 types of crops on one piece of land. One of the crops that you have may be on demand. You might be able to make the profit from banana, right? Or you might be able to make profit from your rice. The consumer trend always change. Some year we have more demand for rice, some year we have more demand for bananas. It depends. But if you have rice as a crop on your one piece of land, you have more chances of making more profit from the crops that are on demand in the market. Right? And if you're lucky, maybe if the rice is on demand and bananas on demand too, so you make big profit from both crops, you can be more sustained. You can make more income. So 2 important things. The revolutionary of agriculture in China allows numbers of population to keep increasing. But if you look at Indian subcontinent, the numbers of population kept changing. Some year more population, some year lesser population, due to the fact that these regions often experience a lot of internal conflict. Internal issues. For example, political conflicts among the tribes. India consists of people with different tribes, different ethnic groups. They were not friendly to one another. Sometimes they launch wars and conflicts against one another, cause high death rate. So wars and conflicts often occur. Natural disasters often occur and kill people in this region. Cultural conflicts often happen and kill people as well. Political conflicts, cultural conflicts, natural disaster, religious conflicts as well that cause decline in numbers of population. Mostly conflicts that kill people. Now, if you take a look at Europeans, if we look at the fluctuations or the changes of numbers of population in Europe compared to China and India, European population did not change much over time. There were only 2 incidents that caused high death rate. But apart from that, the numbers of population was quite stabilized. The incidents such diseases that spread out and kill people and natural disaster. Apart from this, European numbers of population quite stable. It was quite stable, not changing too much, not super, they don't have like high rate or the birth rate and death rate. Normally just so kind of change. If we take a look at Africa, we did not know how many Africans exist in the past. We did not have a reasonable record of the numbers of population in Africa because a lot of them were living in the jungle. A lot of them were living in the remote area. We miscount numbers of them. We only had guesstimate numbers. We only had guesstimate numbers of the African population. But one thing that we know for sure is that we knew exactly how many that we killed during the slave trade. We knew how many of them that we transport to other countries, but we did not know how many exactly exist in the continent. We only knew how many that we killed, how many that we transport somewhere else. The North and South America, same thing happened. We did not know how many of them. We only knew how many that we killed, how many that we transport to different parts of the world. That's all. Moving on to Industrial Revolution. in the Industrial Revolution, numbers of population increased dramatically because of more stable food supplies. Numbers of population increased dramatically because of food supply, and also demand for labor. Two things: good food and demand for labor caused the increase in numbers of population during this time. Right? Life changed a lot during the Industrial Revolution. Most of the products were produced by the machine rather than by hands. We produce in large quantity for sale in a larger market. Unlike earlier period, we produce by hands, and sometimes we produce for barter, exchanging from product to product. We were not focusing on profit. But right after Industrial Revolution, we produce in large quantity and we aim for profit. Apart from selling the products locally, we aim for a larger market, especially the global market. We made more laws to help the business. We made more laws to protect the workers. A lot of things changed. People's life during Industrial Revolution were controlled by schedules, deadline, by the clock. That's what I'm saying. By the time. Like when you work at the factory, you have to get up at certain time in the morning. You have to get up at 6, prepare your breakfast and things like that, and then show up at work by 8. You will have a break at noon, and you will be able to get off around 6. So everything is by schedule. You were being controlled back then. People were being controlled by time, by schedules, by deadline, and things like that. People lost a lot of their freedom. They lost a lot of their freedom. They've been controlled by the productions and things like that. However, the Industrial Revolution allows a lot of people to gain wealth over a few decades. They gain wealth over a few decades. People gain opportunity to change their social status from being lower class to upper class. What I'm trying to say is that they lost some freedom in life. Like I said, they live by schedule, but at the same time, they gain some freedom as well. Lose and gain at the same time. They gain freedom of job opportunities. They now could establish their own business. Now, in the past, the businesses were reserved for only the upper class people. Businesses were reserved for educated people. But during Industrial Revolution, almost everyone were free to own the business, to run the business and make profit. That's why I said a lot of people during this period gained their social status, gained wealth than ever before, even though they may even though they lost some of their freedom, have to live by the schedule. But people standard of living improved more than before. That's all. The first country that started Industrial Revolution was England. They started around the late 17th century or early 18th century. Reached peak 1850. That's the peak of Industrial Revolution. And started to decline in 1870. 1870. That's all ค่ะ The rest just read it for your general knowledge. I'm moving on to lecture 4. There will be a few questions from this lecture. I would like for you to list factors that cause the increase in numbers of population. I will not ask you directly about this, but you can apply some of the ideas here to some of the questions. It's a good piece of information that you can use it later on, right? No direct question, but good piece of information, so take a look carefully. The first factor that caused the increase in numbers of population is stability of food supplies. Already mentioned over and over. When the food supply increase, people feel more comfortable with their life, so the birth rate automatically increase. People no longer have to worry about if they're gonna have enough food to feed their children or not. When food are plenty, they feel like, okay, if I have 10 children, my children will always have access to food. So the first factor is stability of food supply. The second factor is the improvement of technology. Improvement of technology in the area of medication, transportation, transportation. Hang on นะคะ That's another thing. Medication, transportation, production, medication, production, transportation. Now, when the medication improves, it helps save lives. People live longer. Their life expectancy increase. People felt safer than before. They know that if they get sick, they can get treatment, reasonable treatment. So they prefer to have more babies now. They know that there will always be doctors that can save their children. So medication save lives. Medication save life. Medication make people feel safer to live life. So they eat more babies. They have more babies. Transportation. This is quite important. Imagine this way. If we have bad transportation system, or if we have less transportation type that we could use, we may feel that we are stuck in one place, cannot go anywhere. So whatever happened in our society, we're gonna have to bear with it. Think of the real situation right now. In Thailand, we have all kinds of political conflicts, protests, riots, rally, poverty that happen, natural disasters that happen, all kinds of bad things happen in our society. If we do not have access to transportation, if transportation is really bad, it means that if you were born here, you're going to have to manage with all the problems that you have in everyday life. You are stuck here. But now, if you look, we have more types of transportation than ever. You can take the plane, the train, the private car. There are public transportation that you could use if you feel like Bangkok is a threat for you. It's a threat for your achievement. It makes your life feel uncomfortable. Now you can choose any type of transportation and live, move somewhere, migrate somewhere, and establish your life in the place where you think you can be more peaceful, a place where you can achieve your goal. So transportation gives you opportunities in life. It allows you to be or migrate to a place where you can enjoy your life. Without transportation, you're going to have to be stuck in one spot and have to cope with all the problems in the society. Like right now, there's a trend that a lot of young Thai people are moving, they're migrating to different countries that they please, mostly, of course, European countries. And this is one of the improvements that give people choices in life, the transportation improvement. The next one is the production. Okay. The improvement of productions under the improvement of technology allow us to have more choices of what we want to consume, more product types available in the market. We can choose any type of product that allow our life to become more comfortable, fit with our lifestyles. Okay. The new productions allow us to be more comfortable. Let's say you do not like to cook and clean, you don't like the housework. Right now, there are all kinds of products available in the market. Vacuum cleaner, dishwasher, what else? The cooking machine, microwave, oven, and things like that. You can purchase those things to make your life more comfortable. You don't have to stick with the traditional gender roles anymore, that you are a woman and you have to cook and clean. Now you can purchase those machines and take care of the housework. Or as a student, okay, you don't have to take note manually anymore. Keep writing. Now you can take note by using your laptop, your iPad. You can collect all your information in one small piece of the device. Make things more convenient. You don't have to carry big textbooks along with you anymore because they have books online. So these are part of new productions. We have more options, more products that we can consume, make our life become more comfortable. The next factor that caused the numbers of population to increase is the improvement of political system. Improvement of political system. Now, in the past, we did not have a lot of choices of what type of political system we could use to fit with our own people, to fit with our own culture and things like that. Right now, we have options. Even though we have like a few popular ones, like the communist, socialist, fascist, democracy and things like that. But then under the democracy, there are more variety type of policy the democracy that exists now. Democracy plus capitalist, democracy plus authoritarian, socialist as well, socialist plus capitalist, communist plus capitalist, socialist plus authoritarian. What I'm saying is like we have more options, more types of political system that we use to fit with the people lifestyle, the people culture in each country. Right? The new political system allows people to feel more comfortable about the place where they're living in. Most of the political system now open for people to engage with the power in the society. What we call is mainstream power in the society. We now have, once again, we now have more access to mainstream power in the society. We no longer be submissive and passive. If something went wrong in our society, we now can give voices. We have the power to correct things that's wrong in the society. But back in the day, even if something went wrong, we had to accept the condition. We had to just follow what the supervisors tell us, the authorities tell us. But now we can basically challenge the authority. We can give voices into the administrative bodies. We can tell the people out there what kind of representative that we want, what kind of policies that we need, what kind of support that we want from the government. So more variety types of political system, more involvement to the administrative bodies, make people feel more comfortable. Imagine yourself, you would not want, if your society is so oppressive, the government control everything, brainwash everything, you would not want to have children and want your children to grow up in this kind of political condition. You probably reduce birth rate. But when you have more power to involve in politics, you have the power to make changes in the society. You feel like, okay, if I have children, my children will live good life. My children can also give voices. My children can also express their opinions, exercise their freedom in the society. So better political system, if people make people feel more stable, make them feel more comfortable. That's all. These are the factors that cause numbers of population to increase. Moving on to the next one. These are conditions that cause birth rate and death rate to be various, society by society. Very important here. You will need this piece of information to apply to other questions. These are the conditions, like I said, that influence both birth rate and death rate. Sometimes make it high, sometimes make it low. The first condition is status of women. There are two types of societies. I am going to talk about the first type of society where women are equal with men. When women are equal with men. Both men and women tend to be more relaxed. Both men and women have the same access to job opportunities, education. Both men and women can achieve their life goal easily. In a society where men and women are equal, both men and women have the same opportunity